Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have John here. John, tell us a little bit about the castle.
So Stirling Castle was one of the main royal castles in Scotland, very much favoured by the Stuart dynasty.
Okay.
So if you come to Stirling Castle, you will be walking in the footsteps of the great Stuart kings and queens. King James IV, King James V, his daughter, Mary, Queen of Scots, and her son, King James VI, who would later become King James I of England as well. So Stirling Castle was both a royal castle and also a fortress. And Stirling Castle would remain a military establishment right into the middle of the 20th century. The army did not leave here until 1964.
These are not originals, these are replicas, but this is basically where the king and queen would have sat anytime they came in here. So you've got the king's throne to the left, the queen to the right. To get here, you've got to take a step up. So basically, it was this idea about the royals being a step above everybody else. You had to come up to their level. There's no way they were coming down to yours. And you've got this lovely feature in here. This is where the king and queen went to the toilet.
What?
Yes.
Welcome back to my channel. My name is Holda Pokolo. If you are new here, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for returning. In today's video, we are visiting Stirling Castle. Oh, Robert the Bruce, June 24th, 1314. Christ. So for those that do not know, Stirling Castle is obviously located in Stirling in Scotland, and it's actually one of the largest and most historical architectural important castles in Scotland. According to my observation, castles do have like the same historical background, and what I loved about Stirling Castle is that the staff was more than welcoming to give history about the castle, and that was very, very nice because they allow you to take videos. So please stick around so we can explore Stirling Castle. Just a garden. Their buildings always have funny structures and statues of animals and people's heads, and I don't even know how to say it. So this castle is quite huge, and I was actually getting very lost and very old. Most of the principal buildings of the castle date from the 15th and the 16th century, and a few structures remain from the 14th century, while the outer defense fronting the town date from the early 18th century. So, well before the union with England, Stirling Castle was also one of the most used of the many Scottish royal residences, and very much actually as a palace as well as a fortress, and several Scottish kings and queens have been crowned at Stirling, including Mary Queen of Scots in 1542. That's quite a long time ago, and I've actually given a nice history about Mary Queen of Scots in one of my previous videos, so please do yourself a favor and watch that, and other kings and queens that were born and died here. This is actually what the king and queen would ideally wear, and what they do is allow us as visitors to actually take pictures. Like, can dress, you saw those girls, they are dressing up in one of the outfits, and they allow you to take pictures and videos. So according to what I've observed, if you are living in a castle, like if you're a royal, your life is so luxurious that everything is just handed to you. Like, you have everything. You have the princess tower, there are bedrooms, there's a kitchen, they cook for you, they have a chapel for you, there's like I don't know if the art galleries were still there those years, but all these castles have those things. And although now most of the castles are scheduled to be ancient monuments and are now tourist attraction areas, and visitors can just tour around, and there's a range of exhibitions to see. As we entered, you saw on our left, the building is called Royal Palace, and it is actually one of the most architectural impressive buildings in Scotland, covered with unique carved stonework. It was begun in 1530s and was largely completed by the late 1540s. There have been so many famous and historical events at Stirling Castle, and it actually has been the site of royal deaths such as that of King Alexander I in 1124 and William I in 1214, the subject of a tug of war between the English and the Scottish during the Wars of Scottish Independence, and even the scene of an assassination. This later event, the murder of William VIII, Earl of Douglas, occurred when he was invited to dinner there in 1452, and a skeleton of a skeleton found at the castle in the 18th century is believed to have been his. And during the Wars of Scottish Independence, Stirling Castle was fought over by some of the most famous figures in Scottish and the English history, including William Wallace and Robert the Bruce. Royal event at Stirling Castle included the coronation of Mary Queen of Scots in 1543 and the baptism of her son James VI in 1566, both at the Chapel Royal, and I'll take you guys there in a bit. Internally, the palace comprises 2 apartments, one each for the king and queen, of course, and each has a hall, a presence chamber, a bed chamber with various small rooms known as closets. And I'm so sorry, the place was so big, I was getting so discombobulated. I didn't manage to go to the chambers, but I will insert a picture just to show you how it looks, because it's quite beautiful. Sure, probably these are like some famous stones and crystals and herbs or whatever. These are like what? Oh, this is just like berries and plants. Okay. Stirling Castle was the key to the Kingdom of Scotland, like I mentioned before, and dominating a vast volcano rock above the River Forth at the meeting point between lowlands and highlands. Its origins are ancient, and over the centuries it grew into a great royal residence and a powerful stronghold. I love how their buildings always have something. That's a lady, she has boobs. And then those are what? Lions, eagles, monkeys, vultures. This is like vultures. And I don't know what the rest are. During the Wars of Independence, which were civil wars among the Scots, as well as the struggle between Scotland and England, the castle changed hands 8 times in 50 years. And it is no accident that famous battles such as the Stirling Bridge and the Bannockburn took place within the sides of its wall. In times of peace, Scottish royalty came to Stirling to enjoy its comfort, the superb hunting, and to hold court. The castle was often the center of government. Royal buildings projects like the Great Hall, the Chapel Royal, and the Palace of James V marked it out as one of the most important palaces in all Scotland, and infamous deeds took place here, like I mentioned before, the murder of the Earl of Douglas by James II. It was also a childhood home of some of the most famous people in Scottish and British history, such as Mary Queen of Scots and James V and I. Later, it became an important military base and eventually home to the Southernland Highlanders. Since the last of the soldiers marched away, it has seen major projects to return the main buildings to their original magnificence, and nowadays Stirling Castle is famous internationally as one of the Scotland's must-see visitors attraction. So currently we are at the Stirling Heads Gallery, and it's actually one of the Scotland's great art treasures, and they are 1 meter wide, 16th century oak medallion carved with images of kings, queens, nobles, Roman empires, and characters from the Bibles and classical mythology. They decorated the palace ceilings until a collapse in 1777, after which they were dispersed. But most of the survivors have now been brought back together and are in the centerpiece of the magnificent Image Maker of the King exhibition on the upper floor of the palace where we are at currently. So Scotland itself has so much history. I know every place has history, but when you are in Scotland, you just feel so different. I don't know if it's the weather or I don't know. It's just it's dark, it's heavy, it's bloody, it's just heavy, it's just you feel it. But the Stirling Castle itself is an iconic royal palace and a medieval stronghold and a focal point of many of the most important events in Scotland's history. And please continue watching as I take you guys through it. So once we entered the castle through the main gate, there's a Queen Anne garden that's located just through the next archway onto the left, and it's a peaceful and pretty garden on the sunny side of the castle, overlooked by the Queen's lodging and the Prince Tower. They actually do say that there might have been a royal garden here since the 14th, and the flat lawn was turned into a bowling green in the 1620s, and us as visitors can shade beneath that lovely beech tree. They say it's over 200 years old. I'm just here walking all by myself. Wondering where things are. So I'm walking in circles at the moment. I'm gonna try and follow numbers because I just went to the Princess Tower twice. So now I'm gonna try and go to the other places. I don't know if they're entrances. Where's the entrance to that place? Let's see. Those are toilets. I don't want toilets. No. Oh, can I enter in here? I think so, maybe. No, I don't want the shop, but let's go check. I don't know if I can enter in here. So this is called the Regimental Museum, and they say the link between the Stirling Castle and the Southern Highlanders reached back through 2,000 years of distinguished service. And the museum, located in the King's Old Building, tells the story that connects the regiment with the soldiers and their families' home communities, and home to a wealth of military treasures and artifacts. The museum brings the rich cultural link of one of the Scotland's great Highland regiments to life. So I just want to change gears and go back and talk about the Royal Palace, which was the building that had the funny carvings that I was talking about earlier. And it is actually, they say it's the Palace of James V. It will really transport you into that rich world of Scotland's royalty in the 1500s. And again, it is well decorated and furnished, and it recalls the years when it was the childhood home of Mary Queen of Scots. I didn't find anyone to ask at this scene, but they say they do actually talk, and I've witnessed it at other places, that they do talk to the visitors about the palace and the intrigues which took place within its walls. And the palace is one of the best preserved Renaissance building in the UK, they say, and it has been refurbished to just look as it might have done around 1540s. The royal chambers included the magnificent rooms where the nobles met their monarchs, and the bedrooms where the royals retired with their closet companions. I'm so sorry I didn't get the chance to go there, but I'll insert a picture. And they are also homes to the brightly painted replica of the Stirling heads and the breathtaking hunt of the unicorn tapestries, which took many years to weave at a cost of, they say, £2 million. And you guys have seen the heads. Unfortunately, I did not have all the time to go to every corner of the castle. I'm sure there was a lot of history to be told at the chambers, because I remember when I went to the other castles, it was quite informative. However, I'll insert a picture, and yeah, there's always a shoot for next time. So most of the time, the Queen's bedchamber is one of the most stunning rooms in the royal palace and forms part of the Queen's apartments. And when the palace was built, Mary of Guise, who was the wife of King James V, lived here with her young daughter, Mary Queen of Scots, in 1540s. So there's actually a lot to be discovered at Stirling Castle, and I should say it's actually worth the visit. So it actually rates alongside Edinburgh Castle. I haven't been there, but they do say that they rate alongside each other. And for me, one of the greatest highlights when I visit a castle is the king's and queen's bed chamber. They say, I don't know if it's the same here, but those years the queen was not allowed to go to the king's bed chamber, just because you never know who can be there, and you never know who the king might have brought over. So the king could go to the queen's bedchamber any time of the day, but the queen was not allowed to step a foot there. How ironic. And it's funny how they didn't share like a bedchamber, like everyone had their own space. So the castle has been extensively restored to look much as it would have done during the 16th century, and the tours of the palace takes you through the king's and the queen's outer and inner chamber, as well as their bedrooms. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry, I really regret not having or making time to go to this important I feel like that those are like the most attractive areas when you go to a castle. So if you visit a castle, please make sure the one thing that you visit, if you don't have a tour guide, it's the bedchambers. However, the most fascinating thing for me is that most of these castles and palaces actually do look the same. They have like the chamber, the queen's chamber would contain wooden carvings of heads and animals and highly significant subjects of matter at that time, and a combination of actually real people, historical figures, and mythical heroes. And the chambers would actually be having like rich furniture, including the beautiful poster bed and a table, a chair in front of a fireplace in the corner, and then they would have cupboards and the bathroom, the shower, the dressing room. And they really did pay attention to details when they designed the chambers, and it's so homey. You'd think it's the whole place, but it's just, the queen's or the king's chamber. And what mostly stands out for me is always the ceiling. Like at Falkland Palace, my lord, the ceiling is filled with so many little small details. I don't know if it's equipments or drawings, and it's quite a bit scary also, because they would have things like vultures and things like things that look like they can eat you up, and they are probably on the side of the bed or on the ceiling, and but for them that was quite significant then. And also part of the castle is the museum, and I feel like that is just like a normal museum because they're just replicating. Sometimes they have the originals, but most of them it's the replica of, let's say, the chair or the queen's outfit or how they would dine then, or maybe the equipments they used in the militaries, like the guns, the outfits, the uniforms, and maybe how the setting would be if they have visitors over, in terms of dining, the chairs, the cutleries, and every little thing of how it was then is what they're displaying. And these are things that we still have. I mean, the couches look the same, the dining tables look the same, the setting looks the same. They always have a centerpiece. I think you also saw one of the centerpieces earlier. But my only question is, some of the things look like they're just from Africa. Like, how did you get them? They look like they're from East to Western Africa. But anyways, this is the museum. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have John here. John, tell us a little bit about the castle.
So Stirling Castle was one of the main royal castles in Scotland, very much favoured by the Stuart dynasty.
Okay.
So if you come to Stirling Castle, you will be walking in the footsteps of the great Stuart kings and queens. King James IV, King James V, his daughter Mary, Queen of Scots, and her son King James VI, who would later become King James I of England as well. So Stirling Castle was both a royal castle and also a fortress. And Stirling Castle would remain a military establishment right into the middle of the 20th century. The army did not leave here until 1964. But when they left, this enabled parts of Stirling Castle to be restored back to the 16th century grandeur, because the army, well, they would just use the castle for their own purposes, with little sentiment for historic buildings. You want to point over that way? And you looking at the Great Hall that dates back to 1503. This building, much altered by the military as accommodation for the troops, this began to be restored in 1964 once the army had left. But the restoration would then take 35 years until it was completed in 1999. And the colour of this building is King's Gold. Not only did the Great Hall look like this, but also most of the rest of the castle at one time. So this main courtyard here, this is known as the Inner Close, the royal heart of Stirling Castle, the highest point of the castle. So there are 4 royal buildings surrounding this courtyard. The Great Hall, as we've seen there.
Yeah.
You also have the Palace of King James V, in this direction, over here.
That one over there.
And the building we're standing outside of here,
Behind me.
behind you.
Okay.
This building now houses the Regimental Museum of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. This was a very famous Scottish Highland regiment based here in Stirling Castle from 1881 right up until 1964 when the army finally left. The building was actually built in 1496, so it's a very old building in the castle. Much changed again by the military and now houses the Regimental Museum of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. Another building we should mention here is the Chapel Royal. That's the building just over here.
Okay.
The Chapel Royal that now stands in the Inner Close of Stirling Castle dates back to 1594. This was built especially for King James VI for the baptism of his first child, Prince Henry, who had been born here in the castle in the February of 1594. The chapel was built in the space of just 6 months, so it would be ready for Prince Henry's baptism in the August of that year. So quite a rush job. On this side, nicely finished in an Italianate style, Florentine style. Around the back of the Chapel Royal, you would be able to tell where it was completed very, very quickly.
Okay.
So quite a different facade from the back side and the front side facing us in the courtyard here.
Okay, okay.
The baptism of Prince Henry took place on the 30th of August 1594. The front of this chapel one time stood another chapel, of which nothing now remains other than foundations underneath the cobblestones of the courtyard. The earlier chapel dated back to the early 1400s and was known as the Chapel of St. Michael. But it was in that earlier chapel that on the 9th of September 1543, Mary, Queen of Scots, was crowned here. She was only an infant of just 9 months old. She was so small that the crown of Scotland had to be held above her head by the Archbishop of St. Andrews. She cried and wailed all throughout the ceremony, so I had to cut it quite short.
Oh wow. Amazing. Interesting. Thank you for giving us so much detailed history.
You're very welcome, my pleasure.
Thank you so much. John, how long have you been working here for?
I've been working here at Stirling Castle for 2 years.
For 2 years.
This is my second spell with Historic Scotland, so I did work at Edinburgh Castle many years ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't manage to get there. I wanted to, but I found it closed. They said we need to book in advance 3 days, so
yeah, it does get very busy here.
Yeah.
Quite a busy historic monument,
yeah.
But you do get a much better atmosphere, much better experience here.
Oh, really? Thank you.
And if you often wonder which was the most favoured castle between Stirling Castle and Edinburgh Castle, well, the evidence speaks for itself here. The much larger, a much grander Great Hall, and the palace apartments too, built in the reign of King James V to build an elegant Renaissance palace right here in the middle of Stirling Castle.
Okay, perfect. Wow, John, where are you from?
I live in Perth, just 35 miles to the
Oh, I've
north
been
of
to
Stirling.
Perth yesterday, actually. Beautiful.
Fair city of Perth.
I visited Stone Palace. Yes.
Yeah, and that once was the crowning place of Scottish kings.
Okay.
Just outside of there. Scone held the Stone of Destiny. It was an ancient Celtic ritual that the King of Scots would be placed on the stone. This was a symbol of the monarch, of the ruler, being united with the land and his people.
Okay.
Now the stone that was once there was taken away as a trophy of war in 1296 by King Edward I of England and taken all the way down to London. It's now in Westminster, it was placed in Westminster Abbey, but it returned back to Scotland in 1997, so just after 700 years to wait its return back to Scotland. Does show that Scots are a very patient people. So the coronation takes place in Westminster and the stone is returned to there for the coronation. But it returns back to Scotland soon afterwards. Now, Scone is very near to Perth and very shortly the Stone of Destiny or Stone of Scone will return not to Scone but to the city of Perth, where a special exhibition centre is being prepared for it.
Can you tell us a little bit about Queen Elizabeth, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth? I've seen her pictures a little bit, and also about her passing, that I heard that it was her wish that she die in Scotland.
Yes, well, she did have a very close connection to Scotland. Now, although the royal dynasty changed in the 18th century from the Stuarts to the House of Hanover, there was still that line of Stuart ancestry that gave the Hanoverians their right to the throne and still continues to this very day. So, a daughter of King James VI and I was the Princess Elizabeth Stuart, and she married the German Prince Frederick of the Palatine. Their daughter was Sophia, who then married Ernst August, the Elector of Hanover, and their son was George of Hanover, who would then become King George I of Great Britain when Queen Anne, the last of the direct Stuarts, died in 1714. So you can trace that ancestry then down to the current royal family of Great Britain, back to King James VI and I, and indeed Mary Queen of Scots. And Queen Elizabeth herself had a great association with Stirling. She was made the honorary Colonel-in-Chief of the Argyll and Sullivan Highlanders on her 21st birthday, and she retained that role right up until very recently, until she died. So she could be said to be the longest serving Argyll, over 70 years. So she would visit Stirling Castle very often. She opened the Great Hall after its restoration in 1999 and the Royal Palace here in 2011. And her last visit was just 2 years ago, in the June of 2021, when she came to reopen the Argyll and Sullivan Highlanders Museum after that had been shut for a few years.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for giving us a detailed...
You are very welcome.
Is there anything else you want to say or want to add?
Just enjoy your visit here to Stirling Castle.
Thank you so much, John. You're very kind. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate this. I just managed to get some good information for you guys there from John, who was so kind. So, excuse me. Let's get in here and see what John was talking about. Wow. I actually want to go to the chapel. Maybe I must hurry up so I can take you guys to the chapel, eh? Or is it a cathedral? How do I call it? Okay, this is it, guys. We'll move on. Get in here. So this is called the Great Hall, and it's located at the inner close next to the Chapel Royal. This magnificent banqueting hall is the largest of its kind ever built in Scotland and was used for feasts, dances and pageants. Completed for James VI in 1503, it has 4 pairs of tall windows at the dais end, where the king and queen sat, and was heated by 5 large fireplaces. And in 1594, James VI held a banquet in the hall for the baptism of his son, Prince Henry. It was so lavishing that the fish course was served from an enormous model wooden ship, complete with firing cannons. Hi, how are you? Can you give me a little bit of history on these chairs, please?
These are not originals, these are replicas, but this is basically where the King and Queen would have sat anytime they came in here. So you've got the King's throne to the left, Queen to the right. To get here, you've got to take a step up. So basically, it was this idea about the royals being a step above everybody else. You had to come up to their level. There's no way they were coming down to yours. And you've got this lovely feature in here. This is where the King and Queen went to the toilet.
What?
Yes. The whole idea was that if they left in the middle of an event, that was a signal to everybody else here that it was over, because the King and Queen have left. So to stop that, they put a chamber pot in there, and that's where they went to the toilet in full view of everybody sitting in the Great Hall. Yes.
Oh, wait, how do they sit?
So, you've got the seat.
And then, and if she wants to use the bathroom, what happens?
They would literally just lift that up. And
she would stand up?
She would stand up, lift that up, and they would have the chamber pot in there, and that's where they would
right in front of everyone, they would know that...
Right in front of everybody sitting here in the Great Hall.
No way,
yes,
that's crazy.
There was no shame.
No shame.
No shame in
Let me try that, maybe. Let me try going to the bathroom.
So everybody could watch them doing the toilet.
Thank you so much.
No, not at all, you're welcome.
Let me see.
Literally made the things that you're pressing.
Guys, good luck. Yes, please, if you can, please help me.
Where it comes from. Where do you think that's literally where it comes from? It's incredible. You know, I don't care what anybody says. You know.
This is us having a ceremony. But then now I want to go to the bathroom, so with no shame. As they said, they did it this way. Wait, this is so uncomfortable.
He was employed here at the palace.
This is very uncomfortable. How would you do this?
I think back then they had some leather,
You think so?
like some palm cashmere's or something.
At the palace.
This is very uncomfortable.
Trusted them. Touched them.
Oh my god.
Doing no harm.
I don't know how they did
Here in
this.
Scotland, they had a fantastic job site.
This is very, very uncomfortable. Excuse me. Was it like this? Is it a replica of how it was?
This is a replica of exactly how the throne would have looked back in the day.
This is very uncomfortable. So
This way.
and then you stand up after you don't wipe your bum
No, they actually had somebody else to do that for you.
in front of everyone.
Oh yes, yes. And his job title in Scotland, believe it or not, was the Master of the Stool.
Really? In front of everyone, guys, this is unbelievable. I can never. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, my buddy. Where the kings and queens have been before, including myself. So much history. These people are so nice. Most of the people are really very nice. They are more than welcome to give history, to explain more. I actually thought they would stop me from recording, but unfortunately not. They did more than I actually expected. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying, guys. Would you take a dump in front of everyone and let them wipe your nyash in front of everyone? Like what type of that's just no, excuse me, no, I would not, definitely not. Okay guys, so let's see what's on the other side. We are going underground somewhere, I don't know where. Oh, there is something here. The Great Hall. Oh, I see.
You still taping?
Yes.
Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
Where are you guys from?
We're from Florida in the United States.
Woohoo!
We're so
Nice.
happy to meet you.
Oh,
We
nice to meet you too,
are.
guys. I
So-
hope. Yes.
Happy travels.
Thank you. I hope you guys to visit Namibia. I
I'm
hope.
hoping.
Yes,
Your
please.
YouTube channel is great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
You take
I
care.
appreciate you too. Such nice people.
Nope, not gonna read that. I have 30 minutes, but I think I'm done. Basically, this is it. I don't know how to get up there. I wanted to get to the Great Hall. They say it's the Great Hall, but I don't know how to get up there. So I'm gonna take you. Oh, there's more this side. I didn't even see this. Let's go. I have, I think, 20 minutes left before they leave me. So let's go explore this side. Let me show you guys. See, I don't know what is here, so let's go check. Oh wait, I think this is the entrance to the Great Hall. Oh, let me not fall over there. Oh, I didn't know, man. Let's see. Yeah, the way everybody's looking at me with this jimbo. Oh, okay, there's nothing much here. It's the outside. This place is quite big. I didn't even get a chance to go behind here. I didn't even get a chance to go to the chambers. I feel like I needed more time to explore more, because if you are here and you're looking for history, then you need more time.
Hello. Where are you guys from?
We're the Coleman family from Wicklow.
Where's Wicklow?
Ireland.
Oh,
Just,
nice.
next to Dublin.
Oh, nice. Yes, I've heard
20
of Dublin.
kilometers.
Oh, nice, nice. Thank you so much.
No, only pleased to meet you, and hopefully it goes well for you.
Thank you so much. Same for you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Let me see up here, and then we can go down, okay? Oh, okay, it's just open areas. Okay. I don't know what they used to do here. It's oh, it was the kitchen. There's the kitchen. Let's go down here. Oh, there's nothing down here. Okay, that's it. Let's go the other side. Ugh. Entrance. Don't play with our food. Okay. Oh, nice. Oh, this is the entrance. I can't go around showing what they had. I see fish, pears. I don't actually know what is everything else. I need to go closer. I can't see because there's no light. It's very antique. Wait. Come on, camera, don't do this to me. Oh, with a dog here. Hi, doggy. Oh, you can see a dog here. Shells. Oysters, sorry. Shells, oysters. Fish, chicken. Down there is fish and chicken. And then there's these guys. I don't know what they have. They probably killed something from the ocean. The cooking methods. Nice, eh? Cooking for the royals. The kings and queens. The Great Kitchen. This one is located outside close near the Great Hall you saw as I entered. But things like peas, puddings, salmon, prime beef, only the very best was good enough for the royalty. And then here we see what life was like for the men, the women and children who prepared the feast for the kings and queens and baked their daily bread for the servants. It's quite a bustling scene filled not just with people. I even saw a dog down there. Cats and rats, which also tried to survive by scavenging from the scraps of the straw-covered stone floors. I love how they really tried to replicate everything that was happening those years, because as you are in here, like there's minimal light, like the video is actually doing you guys justice. I couldn't see anything at all. There's like little noises of cutting boards and little animals, people chatting and screaming. You know, it's just it feels very ancient. That's why you see they're even using candles on the tables. It's very original. That's why you don't even see light or bulbs or whatsoever. It's a good way to see how they lived in the past. And then we will be done for the day. Actually walk here. Shoot from here. Boom, 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 boom. I have 6 minutes. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. As for myself, I really had a good time. I've really enjoyed much. Guys, I hope you did the same. I don't know where this goes, but I cannot go there now. I think I need to leave now before the bus leaves me. It is 6 minutes to 5 and we need to leave. So I'm gonna leave the palace, and I hope you have enjoyed. Please subscribe,